Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Thursday, July 1st, 2021, and today we're going to be talking about President Trump saying that he has made up his mind about whether or not he is running for president in 2024, what seems to be the first time that he has confirmed that he has made a decision. Now, President Trump has always floated the possibility of running for president, even on Sean Hannity's show. And on Sean Hannity's show again, he says that he has made up his mind, and it is quite interesting to see how the former president has sort of fueled all of this speculation about whether or not he's going to run, sort of telling the American public, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'm seriously considering it. In one instance, maybe a Republican will be president. What he says at CPAC could be different from what he's saying on Sean Hannity. But he's telling us now. He's telling the Fox News viewership, the American public, that he has made a decision. Now, this comes as a result of Sean Hannity asking him before, are you running for president? And he says that he's very seriously considering it. And now he said he's made a decision. He hasn't announced that decision, but the fact he isn't shooting it down sort of tells us everything that we need to know. And there was sort of this subtle movement amongst potential Republican candidates that I have covered, that I have pointed out, but now it's starting to add up. At least if President Trump is going to run, it seems that the field is already starting to clear. Let's take a look. Nikki Haley said back in April that she will stand down if President Trump decides to run again in 2024. That was not the only instance in which a Republican has said this exact statement. Many other Republicans, not so notable, not really presidential contenders, but have sort of indicated that if Trump was to run in 2024, they would back him as well. Mike Pompeo, who served as President Trump's Secretary of State, said he's always up for a good fight. When asked about whether or not he's going to run in 2024, he sort of gave a non-answer to that and just said that he's up for a good fight, but he's not fueling speculation as to whether or not he is going to run or isn't going to run. But the fact he was open to it was notable, at least in March of 2021. Fast forward, all of a sudden he comes out and says, no, not at all. Sort of, in a sense, surprised that people are wondering whether or not he's going to run for office in 2024. Despite saying he's up for a good fight, says no, not at all, that he has no intention of running for president in 2024. Right around the same time period, just a month after, Nikki Haley says, if Trump runs, I will not run against him in 2024. And then Mark Meadows comes out recently and says that Ron DeSantis will not run against President Trump. Mark Meadows, the former White House chief of staff, says here, quote, thinks the public can add Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to the list of Republican hopefuls who won't run against former President Donald Trump in 2024 should he enter the race. So now we're knowing from Meadows that he does not believe DeSantis will run against Donald Trump. Now we have directly from Haley that she will not run against Donald Trump if he decides to run. Mike Pompeo initially starts out, maybe it's a possibility, then sort of offended that the question is asked, saying no, not at all, completely squashing any type of discussion about whether or not Pompeo is going to run in 2024. So it seems that maybe the stars are aligning. President Trump goes on Hannity in April and says he's very seriously considering running in 2024. And then he says, my mind is made up, and smiles about it. And it seems that he knows that the public reception to this and the, punditry type of answer is that President Trump probably is going to run for president in 2024, at least as it stands currently. Now, I don't understand why President Trump has already made up his mind as to whether or not he's running in 2024. There still are speculations about whether or not it could be Ron DeSantis. Based off of our predicted odds, Ron DeSantis is overcoming Donald Trump in terms of the chance of becoming that Republican presidential nominee, largely because people don't think you rerun candidates and win them. It's only happened one time in United States history, and that was President Grover Cleveland. You never rerun candidates and win. It typically does not happen. Now, you're talking about a president. I know, yes, Richard Nixon ran before and lost and then ended up winning in one of the largest electoral landslides that we've seen in modern history. But I will point out that, again, that was in Nixon's re-election bid, and he was not president before. He served as vice president, ran again and won. For the case of Donald Trump, he was the president of the United States, lost, and then is going to run again if he does, and that would be the second time that has happened. It would be the second time in history if he was to win that election, but I wouldn't hold too much confidence in Donald Trump winning re-election at this point, and it is quite surprising that he has already made a decision. I mean, the midterm elections haven't even occurred. He's looking ahead to 2024 when the rest of the public is looking at 2022. When we see how the midterm elections unfold, then I would understand whether or not he would want to make a decision as to whether or not he was running. Elizabeth Warren announced promptly at the end of 2018. You saw her release that announcement very early on. You saw Julian Castro release his announcement. You saw John Delaney back in 2017 release his announcement. So for many of these candidates that were running in 2020, they sure announced 2 years early. John Delaney being the earliest presidential announcement in United States history, or at least modern United States history. And for Donald Trump to already have made up his mind before the midterm elections, before the Virginia elections. I mean, you're talking about someone who left office not even 6 months ago, and yet he has already made that determining decision, I will or will not run for president in 2024. On one hand, if he's deciding not to, I'm sure that, some Republicans may be relieved, some Republicans may be disappointed. Some Democrats might feel the same exact way, disappointed and or relieved. But looking at 2024, so much is going to happen before then that I simply don't understand how or why he has reached a conclusion yet. I'm not going to bash him for the decision. I'm not going to say that this is some type of political misstep. This holds huge electoral implications. No, it doesn't in terms of him making this decision early. It's just a preference for him, but I find it to be quite surprising that the former president, especially in a race that is so hotly contested, I mean, a presidential election is not some type of low-level congressional position or state senate position where there could be someone who says, okay, I will run for that in 4 to 8 years from now. You're eyeing up the seat, you're eyeing up a retirement, whatever it might be, but for Trump to be in this position where he has fueled so much speculation and made a decision already, I don't think he arrived at that no conclusion. Things might change if the midterms end up being unfortunate for the GOP. He might end up in that no position. But there is nothing indicating so far that he has chosen the answer no. When polled against Pence, Cruz, Trump Jr., his own son, Haley, Romney, Rubio, DeSantis, Trump leads, wins in every single poll. Every single one. The most recent Echelon Insights, 59%. McClellan and Associates, 55%. YouGov Yahoo News, 65%. Quinnipiac, 66%. And the reason why I point that out, and if you've watched my videos intently, you will remember this, in 2016, yes, we're going back there. In 2016, in this Republican primary, I want you to see Donald Trump's vote share. He did not win a majority. He won 44.9% of the Republican primary vote, yet won nearly 1,000 more delegates than everybody else. Won over 1,000 more than Rubio, Kasich, Christie, Fiorina, everyone else. The 15 others I forgot to mention right there. Donald Trump in 2016 won this nomination process by a simple plurality in many states. Because the vote was split, Donald Trump won. In 2024, the vote is not by a plurality. While it is interesting to see the former president at 60%, that's more than enough in the Republican primary to win that election. That would be more than enough in a regular election to win. So Donald Trump is not at all in a bad position. Not at all. So it's not just the polls, it's the fact that everybody seems to be indicating that they are no longer running or they would back down. You hear from Meadows, Ron DeSantis won't be there. Haley says she won't be there. Pompeo says absolutely not. And there are others. When you're taking a look at the declined list, you have to understand and ask yourself, why have these candidates declined? Look at the declined to be candidates list. You have people that are notable names. Liz Cheney says she won't run. Okay, maybe not necessarily out of respect for Donald Trump, but maybe because she doesn't want to lose in that situation. Tucker Carlson, not necessarily always fueling speculation, but there has been some speculation about whether or not he's going to run. He publicly denies it. Newt Gingrich, not running. Josh Hawley, not running. Kristi Noem, not running. She seems to be a shining star or a rising star within the Republican Party. This doesn't look like it's going to be her opportunity. Scott Walker, Mike Pompeo, Ivanka Trump. It seems that these people on this list here could be recognizable names, could offer something to the Republican Party table. Tim Scott being the only black male senator in the Republican Party. I mean, he could offer something that the rest of the party could not, a different type of perspective. He could offer a different type of appeal. Ivanka Trump, maybe. Yes, has the Trump name, would easily win that primary, but a new revitalized version of him. You have other people, Kristi Noem, a governor from the state of South Dakota. Yes, she has, I would say, arguably done worse in comparison in terms of handling COVID to the rest of her colleagues, including Republicans. But regardless, it seems that the Republican Party really adores Kristi Noem. They might choose her as that nominee, but she isn't running. These people that might be presidential hopefuls or potentially frontrunners simply aren't going to run. And amongst the other potential candidates, the fact that none of them have really fueled speculation is also quite fascinating. Ron DeSantis has been visiting around the country, yet has left no media indication that he is running. Ted Cruz in a very similar fashion. Tom Cotton, Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, Marco Rubio. These people that are surely trying to eye up 2024 are doing it in secrecy. That typically doesn't happen. For the 2016 election, Chris Christie, Jeb Bush, constantly fueling speculation about them running. Rand Paul, consistently. You will see the media say, is Chris Christie going to be the next president of the United States? And you know what he would say? Maybe. What would happen with the rest of these Republicans is that they would end up being in a position where they need to send out these little media alerts to a point where Fox News is saying, is Christie going to be it? Is Cruz going to be it? Is it going to be a Bush v. Clinton matchup? This stuff helps with name recognition. But right now, they are very much throttled by President Trump and his reluctancy to inform us as to what his decision is. But of course, you wouldn't announce a campaign this early long. So we won't know until maybe a year and a half from now. But we are reading the tea leaves because they have been accurate for him before. President Trump believes any press is good press. Good or bad, ultimately ends up boosting his name recognition. Ultimately ends up boosting the amount of times people talk about him. And he is right in the most part. Whenever the media brings up Donald Trump, you see viewership rise. And he knows that. And he knows that's how his campaign works. Donald Trump didn't win in 2016 based off being popular. In fact, his favorability rating was lower in 2016 than it was in 2020. The only difference was that he was the president of the United States amidst a global pandemic in 2020 versus just being a businessman back in 2016. So looking at 2024, he has more than just the pandemic under his name. He now has the insurrection, which occurred during the lame duck session. He now has the Democrats in control of the House and the Senate, potentially just one or the other by the time we reach 2024. But the situation that Donald Trump will be in 2024 will be probably less inviting than it was in 2020, even if circumstances have significantly improved for the state of the country. If anything, that boosts the Democratic Party's chances at victory in 2024. But Trump, with these statements, saying he's made up his mind, smiling about it, going on to Sean Hannity to make such a statement, we sort of can tell what he is saying from this. I'm not going out there and saying absolutely, unequivocally, Donald Trump is running in 2024, but I am going to say that would we be surprised tomorrow if he made an announcement, maybe by the length of the announcement prior to the election, but not by the announcement itself. Donald Trump has been quick to make this known, saying in his own rallies as he was leaving office, while he was in office after the election, I'll be back. You will see me again on that ballot. 2024 question mark. I mean, the things that he said, the things that he did told us everything we needed to know. And now we know he has made up his mind. Ron DeSantis seems to be going down incrementally on the predicted market. And I think that these... Okay, sorry about that. I can't control the weather. I wish I could, but I can't. But it seems as if that Donald Trump seems to be climbing ever so slightly back up to that top position that he was in for a very long time. Donald Trump was over Ron DeSantis for the past month and a half. Ron DeSantis recently took him over, but it seems that now, yesterday, it ended up 25 cents for Trump, 29 cents for DeSantis. it seems to do a direct response to this new information from the Sean Hannity town hall that Donald Trump is climbing up. And as we start to see these markets change, they change every hour, potentially every minute, sometimes every few seconds, because it constantly warps around the national news media. And I'm sure that right now we're only seeing Yahoo and Fox News cover this exact story. But I'm sure that the New York Times will pick it up soon, that CNN will pick it up soon, and these numbers will change in a direct response to that. So we have to wait on President Trump's formal announcement or not announcement at all, but it seems that right now, according to the Sean Hannity town hall, that he knows exactly what he's doing, and based off everything we've seen, these hints that are being dropped by many members of the GOP, that President Trump is likely to run for president in 2024. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord server for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch, and then a playlist for my 2024 election analysis videos. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later today.